We're here today with Heidi. Heidi's a 57-year-old type 1 diabetic who was diagnosed 36 years ago. Heidi's diabetes is complicated by polyneuropathy with severe gastroparesis and peripheral neuropathy. She also has a neurogenic bladder, retinopathy, and hypoglycemia unawareness. Heidi started metabolic activation in the year 2000, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what it's been like for her prior to starting activation and how life has changed for her after metabolic activation. Heidi?
Yep, thanks. Yeah, back in 2000, I was running 3 businesses, and I had 2 children and a husband, and I was burning the candle at both ends. And my diabetes completely caught up with me. As Mike said, I had complete numbness in my legs from the peripheral neuropathy, not just in the feet, like you hear, actually all the way up to my legs. And I had multiple laser surgeries on my eyes, and then later had to get holes drilled in my eyes to take the blood out because my eyes were bleeding so badly. I didn't think things could get much worse. The neuropathy is very painful. It jolts. It's like lightning bolts in your feet. You can't sleep. But just about when I didn't think things could get any worse, the neuropathy, actually they call it autonomic neuropathy, went into my intestinal tract. So I couldn't keep my food down. Due to the nausea and whatnot, I was dizzy. So I ended up basically bedridden and trying to help my husband raise our 2 children. Just felt worthless and felt like they'd be better off without me. So a friend of mine brought over an article, because literally I was not leaving the house. Brought over an article, and it was about Dr. Aoki's treatment, hepatic activation. It had a phone number, so I called, and Dr. Aoki immediately met with me, and he felt that all that was going on with me, literally I was at Kaiser had pretty much told me, get your things in order, you're not going to make it much longer. So I explained all this to Dr. Aoki, immediately started activating me once a week, every week for 6 hours. And just slowly but surely, sure enough, my neuropathy started receding all the way down to my feet. I could hold down my food, I could get up, I could enjoy my children again, and my husband, and my life. And at that point I was on disability before activation. After 6 months, literally everything that I was suffering from was reversed. And then I ended up going back full-time to work, and just had tons of energy from activation, and of course being literally given my life back. And now I've been working full-time for the last, 15 years, and enjoying my life, going on very active vacations, sailing boats in the Caribbean, and just feel like $100. I think it's all summed up. I remember this day to this day. After I activated for about 6 months, sorry, this is a little emotional for me. After I had activated for about 6 months, I actually, had the energy to go out and go to a party with some friends. Which I hadn't done in years, several years. I got cleaned up and dolled up, and my 12-year-old son looked at me and said, "Mom, you don't look diabetic anymore." And that just kind of sums up the whole process and what this has done for me. And literally, I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for Dr. Aoki and hepatic activation. Thank you.
At the present time, we're referring to this as metabolic activation. And Heidi, you had mentioned you had surgery on your eyes. How much surgery have you required since you started activation?
Absolutely none. My ophthalmologist just can't believe that all I went through, and I was literally headed towards blindness, that I haven't had any surgeries, any signs of any bleeding, anything since I started activation.
And you've never had any problems with your kidneys?
Nope. I had the beginning of kidney disease. That's all reversed itself. Absolutely no problems with my kidneys. And again, it's just a miracle that my whole intestinal system is now working, and I can run. I mean, before I could, my feet were like bricks. Before I fell at a Little League game once, and there was no one around. I was on my way to my car, and I couldn't get up. And I sat there for literally 45 minutes until a person coming by was able to help me off the ground. So it was devastating.
That's
Yep.
pretty amazing.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you for everything, saving my life. Yep.